we would always have, in the summertime, there would be people that would teach singing. You know, it's what we call singing school. It's where they taught music, how to read music, and so on. And so there was 4 girls of us. We had this teacher. He was really good, and he formed a quartet out of 4 girls, and I was the soprano singer. And we had an alto and a tenor and a bass singer. And so we sang a lot around the, you know, community things to do. And the quartet broke up when 2 of the girls were sisters, and their father worked in the oil field. And they moved to the East Texas oil field down at Kilgore. So that broke up our quartet. So the other girl that sang alto, and then we started singing duets. And the last duet we sang was at our baccalaureate graduation, high school graduation. So that ended my singing career, except a few solos in church, stuff like that. My dad, well, in 1929, they had the stock market crash, and everything went down to nothing, almost. So my daddy was raising cotton, like most farmers did, and of course cotton was nothing. So he decided that he didn't want to farm, I guess, anymore. And we were not very far from the Van oil fields where they'd struck oil down there. And so he decided that, and too, I had gone to school about as far as I could go in a rural community. So he traded the farm for a house in town, the Grand Saline house. So that's where I finished high school, and when I finished high school it was 1933, and it was one of the worst years that I remember of the Depression.
Why?
Of course we had a lot of fun. We didn't really know that it was, times were really as bad as they were, except there was a lot of people out looking for work, I remember that. And you'd see a train go by, and it would just be loaded with men on the box cars, riding, going from place to place looking for work. And lots of times some of them would come and ask for something to eat. And my mother always fed them whatever she had. Maybe might have, been a sandwich, or maybe just some biscuits left from breakfast or something like that. She always gave them something to eat. We never heard of any crime, any of them committing any crimes or anything. We never closed our doors, locked them at night. I was in high school, I thought that probably I wanted to be a nurse. But, as I say, at the time I finished high school, that was one of the worst years of the Depression. And I didn't have any money. And then, at that time, nobody had any money. And jobs were hard to find. So, out of high school, the only thing that I found work was at the salt mine. It was the Morton Salt Company. So I only could work in the summertime because in the wintertime they didn't have as much work. When they bring the rock salt out of the mine, it's in big lumps. they blast it down there. And it comes out in big lumps, and then it's crushed into smaller lumps about so size. And it runs on a belt. And along where they put the blasting caps, it's kind of smoky, kind of turns the salt blue. And it's called blue lumps. And most of the time, that's what I did, was pick the blue lump. When it came by on the belt, we'd pick the blue lumps out, to discard. So blue lumps wouldn't be in any of the salt that, that's packed. And then sometimes I worked on the machines, I packed salt into the cartons that was shipped out to the grocery stores. Most people was working for $1 a day. We got paid 50 cents an hour. And we thought we were doing pretty good. I kept some of it for myself. My mother insisted that I put it in the bank, whatever I could. I saved at least about $5 out of each paycheck. We got paid about every 2 weeks. And then in the wintertime, well, we got laid off. And at Christmas time, when people were hiring maybe some extra help, I worked in a 10-cent store. And then I went and worked in a drugstore for one winter. And then the man across the street that had a dry goods store asked me if I'd like to come to work for him. That was about 1936 when I went out, started working for. And it was what's called Darby's Dry Goods. And I did alterations there. When I wasn't selling on the floor, well, we had four others, two more men and two other girls besides me that worked there in the store. So I did the alterations, plus if they needed me on the floor to sell, I was up there too. But I was working there when I got married.